applications, resumes, interviews, and recommendation letters. These things are going to be very important as you proceed in your life of medical billing and coding career. Your resume is the first thing that an employer or provider will see before meeting you in person. Your resume is your first representation of what you can offer to a company. With that being said, you want to make sure that your resume is on point. Your resume should be very simple, very direct, and very clear. There used to be a time where resumes were 5 and 6 pages long, but in a day and time of urgency and quick responses, your resume should be simple. One may put in their mind at the time of creating their resume, if I was a supervisor of a company and I had 50 resumes coming in a day, what would I look for? What would stand out? What is it that I want to see right away? And then you should create your resume in that format. Again, your resume is a representation of you before you're able to be seen or even spoken with. You want to make sure that there are no clerical errors, that there are no grammatical errors, and that everything that you place on that resume is truthful. Because I am a billing company, I no longer have a personal resume. I now have a company resume. But a resume is a resume is a resume. As you see, I have my company's name, address, phone number, and email. So you definitely want to make sure that your contact information is easy to be found. You want to highlight what your qualifications are. Bullet points. Bullet points. You want for that supervisor to be able to look at that resume and say, okay, now this person is qualified. This is how much experience they have. This is how much time they've spent in this specialty, in that specialty. Certifications, especially when you become certified, you want to make sure that that is on the front page so that that supervisor can begin to move you out of the everyone stack to the certified coder, biller, auditor, etc. stack. You want to list your jobs, your employers. Now, for some of you, you may not have worked in the medical field prior to going to school, and that's fine. Your resume then should really highlight your externship. Where were you at? What did you learn? What did you do? What did you understand? What is it that you can put on that resume and go into that interview and talk to that supervisor about? Then, whatever other jobs you've had, you want to list them. But you want to highlight things that can transition into the medical field. If you worked at a fast food restaurant, one of the biggest things is customer service, being on time, making accurate orders. Those are some of the things that you can highlight in a previous employer that is in correlation with your medical career, because being in the medical field, customer service is important. Being accurate in posting payments and claim statusing and authorization requests is important. So you want to look at the jobs you've previously had, whether they're in the medical field or not, and really highlight the things that would be able to easy transition into the medical field. Then you want to put down what systems you've worked on. Fax machine, Office Ally, whatever system it is that you've ever worked on, you want to be able to put it on your resume. Excel, Word proficiency, those types of things. You want to beef up your resume so that it fits well with the medical field if you have not had previous medical experience. You want to make sure that the jobs that you do put on your resume shows a good amount of time that you've spent there. You do not want a supervisor to see that you have hopped from job to job to job. Even if you need to leave a job off, leave a job off. This is a portion of my old personal resume. It outlines my position, where I was, the time frame, and what it is that I accomplished there. What were my aging numbers? What did I bring to that company that made me fantastic that I can now bring to your company? You want to make sure you provide references. You don't want to give a supervisor any reason to go with someone else because they're more prepared. Even if they did not request references, you want to provide references because at some point, every job is going to touch base with a previous employer to know who you really are. My suggestion is 3 to 4 references, 2 business and 1 personal that is not family. Applications. So you've sent in your resume and now you've come back in and they requested for an interview. So at the time of the interview, or maybe even before, you have an application that you need to complete. Your application is also a look at who you are and what it is that you have to offer. Even though completing an application can be very redundant to a resume, you still want to make sure that you complete the application out in its entirety. You want to make sure that your handwriting is clear, that you have no mistakes, that the grammar and the spelling is correct, and again, that you complete the application out in its entirety. You don't want to put see attached, see attached, see attached. What if the person who reviews the applications never get to see your resume? There's nothing attached. Recommendation letters. You want to make sure that anytime you have a business relationship and it parts for whatever reason, that you leave on good terms so that you may ask for a recommendation letter. A recommendation letter coincides with a reference. Basically, a recommendation letter is telling whomever you give that recommendation letter to, hey, I was so awesome that this person recommends that you look at my application, that you look at my resume, that you interview me, that you hire me. You want to always make sure that you leave a job on good terms so that you can use it as a reference and definitely so that you can get a recommendation letter. Their interview. You want to make sure when you are in the position to interview for any position, whether it's in the medical field or not, whether it's your externship or employment, that you arrive at least 15 minutes in advance. That way, if there's any additional documentations that you need to do, any pre-interview forms or copies that you need to provide, that you have ample enough time to do so. You also want to give interviews a 2-hour block. Most interviews do not take that long, but you do not want to be in the environment where you feel rushed, you're looking at your clock. What if they really love you and they want you to meet someone else? What if they really love you and they need for you to take a drug test, but you told your sitter you'll be back in an hour, or your lunch break is going to be over and you need to get back to work? You want to make sure that you give a 2-hour block for your interview, for anything to happen so that you can be properly prepared. If you do not own dress clothes, you want to make sure that if you are interviewing in the medical field, that you wear scrubs, even if it's your school scrubs. When you speak, you want to make sure that you speak clearly. You want to make sure that you don't have gum or candy or food in your mouth, that you do not use text forms like LOL, OMG, basically to formulate complete grammatical sentences. You want to refrain from the words Interviews can be very intimidating. You should definitely practice prior to an interview with someone to just ask questions so that you can get comfortable with being in that environment to be grilled. A few things that are going to be asked is, why are you looking for a job? Why are you leaving that job? What is it that you can offer that company? How much experience do you have? What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? These are questions that you should have answered in your mind and ready to fire out at any given time. Interviews are very important because that is your opportunity to really show who you are face to face. You want to make sure that you're prepared. Another suggestion is, whenever you are getting ready to interview with the company, that you visit their website. Who are they? What do they offer? What doctors do they have? What services do they provide? What benefits do they offer? You can normally obtain all of this information on one's website. You want to be prepared and share that information in that interview. Mike, I visited your website. You have 6 doctors. Do you have how many medical assistants are associated with each doctor? Let them know. I'm researching you as well. Getting a job is mutual beneficial. They are lucky to have you as much as you are lucky to have them. On your journey of finding employment, I know that money is important, but so are other things. How far is this job from your current location? What if your car breaks down and you're driving 45 minutes out, but now on the bus it's an hour and a half? What benefits do they offer? What benefits do you need? How big is the company? What are your chances of moving up? What are the qualifications of moving up? You don't want to start your career off looking for a job. You want to start your career off implanting yourself in a company where your career can grow. Thank you.